Hi and welcome to this video. In this video I'll show you how you can use the Debug tool to create a Git repository that makes it a lot easier for you to manage and develop SAP CPI. So here I have my trial tenant, and the first thing we want to do is to get the Debug tool. So we'll go to here, try the tool, we will sign up, we'll get a new user, and we agree to receive marketing material, which is important, otherwise you will not get the license key. Now you should get an email with how to install it, and then you go to this folder, you download the jar, and then you go into the directory where this has been placed in your download folder or wherever you want. So now I've placed the file in a directory, and then we will take this one. I think I have Java 8 installed. If you have Java 11, you will use the Java 11 part here. Then we go to the folder, we go and we create a new file. I have, it's mostly easiest just to go into your favorite text editor, create a new file, put in this code, and just make sure you have the right version number here, so it finds the correct jar. Save it in the same folder, call it run the bat in the folder here, and what we can then do is we can run this file, and this will then start up the application, and it will in here create a log file. We can look at this log file. Notepad++ is pretty good for it, and then you can always see what is happening. Previously we logged everything to syslog, but that was not really a good idea. So now you can see everything in here, and most of the time it will take like 30 seconds, a minute to start up. And once it is started up, you can then go to the local host you have to find here. And it will log you in with the default password. You are then required to make a new password for it. Otherwise you can keep it at the default, but do create a new password, it's recommendable. So now we're actually up and running. First thing we need to is to get the license, and you should have received a license key in an email, and then you just take the value of this license key, you put it into the license, you say load license, and this will then synchronize the license and get all the relevant information for the license. So now we have a licensed version of the Debug tool that we can use. The first thing we want to do is we want to connect it to our to an agent, and in this case it is our CPI trial. We'll just call it CPI trial. It is CPI, and we can see we're getting an option here to select Neo or Cloud Foundry. The username, that's for Cloud Foundry, it's your email address, and it is the user that you have. Password, we have the host name up here. It's HTTPS. This is all good. The map host, we will get that once we have deployed something on it. So for now we'll just set it as null. And then we also need the iFlow key IDs, and I did create a post on how. So this is the one that you're using once you want to run messages on a specific system. We will just empty them blank and say save. So now we have created here, we can then test the configuration, which is important to see if everything is working as expected. So we can see we have API access, which is good. We will then go to the to tracking objects. Here we can select synchronize all packages, and with this we'll download all the different packages that exist in this version of the tool. And yeah, so it's a pretty simple one at the moment, so we don't have much data into this. Good. So now we can see we have created a package, we got a value mapping, we got an iFlow, and that's all good. Next up is we want to add the Git integration, and to do that, one of the things we need is to go into a Git repository. Here we'll go to our private user, we will create a Git repositories. We'll create a new one. So we'll create it. It's a good idea to create it as private, because you don't really want everybody to have access to it, and especially if you add test data to it. So now we have created a Git repository. We can then use this URL, and that means we can go back to our Git repository. We can say enable Git, skip synchronization of iFlows. This is if you do not want the FigAF tool to populate this. It is good in some cases. We also have options to update these settings automatically, and this delivers a lot of templates. If you're a good developer, you probably do not want to have these updated. If you don't care about this, this is the best way to do it. Then you will specify a local repository. Where you will have the local Git repository. Obviously this will normally be on the server. You will have a branch, and we are normally Bruce ERT sync. We will use your Git repository. You will then use the password you got for it, and just a sec. So now we have inserted the password. We'll press save, and then you click on this initialize, and this will then download all the repository and packages again. If you have a lot of them, this would obviously take a lot of time. Since we are now have a pretty basic one, I would assume it takes not that long time. So now we can see the synchronization is finished. Sometimes it will take a little before Git is able to see what has been changed, but now we can see it has been delivered, and we got this this upgrade delivered. So let's import this repository. So to do that, we will need the same thing here, the same URL. We will go to our I prefer IntelliJ, but you can use whatever version control or system you have. We will extract it here, and then it will obviously authenticate you. We'll open it in new window, and then you are good to go. So first up is the Git. So with the tool, we deliver all of these plugins as default, something that you as a user can just fill in. So we'll just, so we copy these and create a file for it. We will take this one. We will also create a copy of it and add it. We have a settings, we have a Gradle properties here. So we will copy this also, plug it in, and then we will enter our username up here and our password. I will just pause and save the file. And the last thing we have is the settings Gradle. So one of the things that this contains is a list of all the different iFlows that you have, and this makes it really simple for you to configure the iFlow. So now we have run the configuration of this. One thing more we need to do is we need to add the libraries. So the CPI libraries, we will go to directory, create a new one called clips, and then we will go to our, and we need this HANA tools URL, and here we'll cloud integration, and if we scroll down a little, we will see these two APIs, scripting APIs. We will need to download them, keep, and we will then, up here, if we go to our file, we will then move these two files down, transfers, and we can see I've downloaded a couple of times, so we will copy those and place them into the libs folder. And with this, we are able to use those APIs. So now we are ready to go and start the build process. We can see here it has this Gradle plugin, and then it will start downloading all the different things, adding the libraries and adding a lot of different features that we need for it. You can then here see all the different projects that we have as a part of this. So we have some tasks to deploy, download, and upload our plugins directly from here. So that we have the ability to see all the data. So let's just try to make a small change in it so we can see the resource, we can see our scripts. And let's make this change to 27 as today's date. We can then save it. We can run the upload, and then hopefully we have entered correct password, and we will see it has been uploaded successfully here. So that should be all good. And now if we go back to our repository in here, we should hopefully see that the version is now in draft mode. So you can see it is in draft, and this enables us directly from the Git repository to upload, change a version, and we can even also download, deploy it. So if you're making changes to the model, you can download them, deploy them directly from in here. So if we just click on deploy, this will then start deploying the iFlow, and we can see that as a progress in here and see how long time it does take before we are deploying it. So that is all good. Now we obviously have a good place where we can edit our Groovy scripts. The next thing is we want to be able to run these Groovy scripts and actually see what is going on. And to do this, we will need to go into our Groovy script here, or to the iFlow. So we have our iFlow that supposedly should be working. We will then go here. So to create a test suite, we find our icon, we select record messages, we create a test suite that it needs to be connected to. This could be finance, customer service, whatever. We select which messages we want for this. We just select one. And then we can save record messages. This will start the recording. This will automatically switch the iFlow into trace mode. And now we just wait until someone has processed any messages on here. And once they have done that, we can start pulling these messages down. And to do that, you simply just select it, pull remote messages. This will take a little while for it to fetch all the messages. Depending on what the scope and how many messages you have, it can take a little while. So now the recording is done. We can see all the messages that have been downloaded as a part of this processing. So we say close, and now we can see we got 1 inbound and 36 outbound messages. So this is good. We say create test cases for the recorded messages. If we want to run them, we will need to go back to our agents because we did not set this up correctly in the beginning. Here we will then need to use the URL we got from here. Sorry, not this one, the info here. So in the info we got the host name here, and this obviously just needs to be the host name, as I would call it. Host, it's Cloud Foundry, and then you got these two service keys that you need to insert, and you get those from the trial cockpit. And let me just copy these in. And once we have done that, one of the things we can actually do is we can take the test suite that we just created here, and we can run it again. So we can just say here, run on a specific agent, or as now just the CPI trial we have. And what this will do is it will switch the iFlow into trace mode, and then we will send the message to it. And if we go back here, we should then be able to see a message that was just sent. And one of the details we can see that this is a FIGAF message is the correlation ID is what we have defined it as in the tool, and then it will run and it will start polling. But what we wanted to do was we wanted to use these test cases we already have. We can go here, we can generate groovy scripts, so add to the Git repository. So hopefully that will work now, since we have cleaned up the repository. And so if we go back to our Gradle plugin here, say update plugin, hopefully one of the things we should now see is we got a test folder here, and in it we get a groovy script, a test script. You may need to ensure that you got the right Java version, stuff like that to do it. You can go into the project settings under build and execution, build tool. You need to make sure that there's Gradle plugin. You can also add a new JDK or download a JDK. And I think one of the things we used was the adopt OpenJDK version 8, and we can download that and use it. So it depends on what has been installed on your system already. And then we can actually select one. So let's take, so we can see this headers groovy was run 2 times, and we can see that all the payload files for the different projects here. And if we go back to our code here, we can see it's been updated. We can set a breakpoint, and we can then either run the test groovy 2 up here. We can see it run once with this file. So we simply just say run. This will then compile everything, and hopefully it will work out smooth. So it ran it. We would need to debug it. And now we are in debug mode. We can see objects, what they are, and there is a lot of options to handle these things. I think there's also this one if you wanna so you can evaluate what specific data is. Get headers, URL1, maybe, I don't know. But with this you can see everything that's going on in this process, making it a lot easier for you to develop, going through it, stepping through it, and best of all, you don't need any specific knowledge about setting up the Gradle plugins and everything like that. It's all delivered automatically. The thing you obviously want to consider is what you're committing from here, what's being committed in that direction and the other direction, to ensure where your moment of truth and what the truth is. And then obviously the FIGAF tool also, so we ran this test result here. We can view the result here. we need to pull them, and this will obviously take a long time. And this is also a good way to test it. So you got both the unit test, where you can run specific thing, and then you got this one that does the full end-to-end test with all the different components inside of your iFlow. So yeah, this will take a little while also to run. The other thing is that once you're in here, in our help, one of the things we do have here is groovy scripts and running it. So one of the things, it also decides how to set up things. If you want to create your custom scripts for running these things, there's an example on how you could run it. So here it will run the data with the specific input, and then you can set up assertions that we want to have a message log with the specific content in. So this gives you a pretty good idea about what you can actually do to add more assertions to the process. I hope this helps you getting started with the FigArf tool, being able to deliver SAP integrations much easier. Once you're in here, there's also all the learnings, capabilities and stuff like that. And there's the free trial that allow you to set this up and see how it goes. It works both on Neo and Cloud Foundry, and one of the things you do also see in the module is in the configuration we have the option now whether or not it's Cloud Foundry or Neo, so that also simplifies some things. Hope you want to try it out. Go to figarf.com/DevOps, or just go to figarf.com and then click on any of these tools. I hope this gives you some good idea about how you can use a better way of developing SAP CPI.